Stahlhard Papercraft.
Hello, I'm Chris from Stahlhard Papercraft. In this video, let's have a look at the McDonnell-Douglas DC-10, and this model is originally by Oddball Productions, which now goes under the name Murph's models. And this one is the scale is a little bit adjusted. It's about 1 to 100. And yeah, so let's have a look at the model first. So this is how it looks from the top, this looks from the bottom. Yeah. So, and now have a look at the model files. This is the title page, and you can see this still has the Oddball Productions logo up here, and it was bought from e-card models back then. And then this is a picture of someone else's build, and of course not mine. And then you have the scale is 1 to 132, and I built it in about 1 to 100. And the difficulty scale here is given as 3 out of 5. The third dot is actually for the landing gear only, because, yeah, except that is pretty easy to build. And yeah, so this is the title page. Let's look at this is the instructions page. The instructions, you have a 3 view. You have a view how it's supposed to look like in the end. You have a view of the different parts coming together. And this is actually pretty much enough for this model, because there's not so much detail which you need to deal with. There are also other instructions drawings later down in the pages. We're going to see that. So here, let's zoom in a little bit. So here we have the first page, and here's a view from the bottom. Yeah, from the 3D software. Then the nose of the plane is actually very easy. It's just cones together. And then you put the cockpit on the top, which works pretty well and comes out really nice. And then you have the different parts here. And as with, I didn't build a lot of Oddballs models or Murph's models, but I think it's rather common for them to have this kind of minimalistic artwork. So you don't, he didn't pay, with this model he didn't pay a lot of, making the parts really nice. The model itself comes out really nice, which wise it's really a pity that the artwork isn't better. So if you're able to do so, you can of course make the artwork nicer yourself. But then again, this is a matter of taste. It's not a matter of whether something is good or not. Something that I really didn't like here is how he is using the fonts, because first of all, the font has an outline. This looks really, it looks really, it doesn't look like the real thing, and it's just not nice. And another thing is that this font is probably not even the correct font. I think it is a handwritten font on that plane, but is it really this? I'm not sure. Okay, the next thing, which is a little bit surprising, is how these two parts are actually two parts. I think the idea is maybe that you can scale them up easier, or I don't know. But you can just use a glue strip. You just get rid of the tabs here and use a glue strip to glue them together. Then this, here where you see cutout, this is where the wing spar goes. And this is where the wing goes, of course. And then here's the back of the fuselage. This one is again modeled really nice. It comes out really nice. Also this part, the way he solved this part was really a clever way of solving this part. Then we have the belly tank, and the belly tank is the one which goes under the belly, because this one is the fire bomber, water bomber, firefighting water bomber, and those are the belly tanks. Then here we have the wing spar. So this is the wing spar, and you can see here is clearly labeled which goes where, which is actually a lot of help. And then you have to glue it together from different parts, because it's so big. And then we come here to the wing actually. So here this is you see here's the landing gear door, and and then this is the part of the wing. The wing doesn't have any former. It only has wing spars. So when you glue it to the fuselage, you have to form it a little bit here and there to make sure that it actually fits flush on the fuselage. And the wings bar helps you a little bit. Something which is really disappointing in this model, I think, is, and that's probably because it has been done too quickly, is that the flap hinges are all the same. So there are 6 flap hinges, 3 for each wing, and each of these pairs should look different. Instead, they all have the same. They all have the same size. They all have the same shape. So you don't need to add more detail, but at least the hinges could have been the same. I think it's probably possible if you have a 3 view to adjust them yourself. I didn't do it for my build. Okay, then you have here you can see so the flap hinges are exactly the same size, whereas on the actual plane, this is only the most inner one has this shape, and the others are actually smaller. Good. So then we have the landing gear, and the landing gear is, yeah, it's a sculpted landing gear, pretty much, because it has rolled struts, and no 2D version, and the main wheels. Again, the detail is not so overwhelming. The landing gear goes together quite well. It's a bit. It takes a bit time until it will hold, because you glue this flush on the wheel. I mean, flat on the wheel. You glue these parts flush to each other. So it's important to let each strut dry long enough after gluing them together, and then once the whole thing is finished, then you have to let it dry. So actually, a good idea would be to build the landing gear first before you actually build the plane. Another thing that's nice is this. You see, this is the main strut, and this is the hydraulic arm, which goes inward. But there is no landing gear. There's no wheel wear. What is it called? Wheel well. Good. Then we have the horizontal stabilizers. They will be glued flush on the fuselage, flat on the fuselage, which works well enough, but it's not really strong. So you might want to consider adding a spar here as well. And then we have the tail engine. And the first thing about the engines is, like, again, maybe I'm expecting too much, but a splitter cone would be nice. Maybe you can get a splitter cone from some other model. As I have another video about the Fiddler Screen DC-9, where you can see that this has a splitter cone. It adds so much to the engine. So maybe you can get a splitter cone from there and adjust it in size. Another thing about the engine, what's very confusing, is, like, if you look at this drawing, so you can see that this part looks like it's going here, but don't get confused by it, because it's actually this part which goes next to this part. So my suggestion, and then you get confused, because if you glue this cone on these tabs, which fits, but it's wrong. So then where will you put this? And if you put this on top of this, it will not look good. So my suggestion is to build these 2 parts first, and then when you have the inner things done, then you just push them in from the front and push them to the right position. Another thing about the tail is that there is no spar. There's no thing to stiffen the tail, which you just glue them edge to edge, which again is not very strong. So when I built it, I actually already added something in to make it more strong. The nose gear, again, rolled and with the whole hydraulic arm. And the main landing gear. Here also see the instruction drawings for the landing gear. Something that is really confusing is that the landing gear doors are red, while the landing gear doors on the wing are actually white. Okay, I have no idea how it is on the real plane. Maybe on the real plane these 2 doors are actually red. This one is red, which is correct, but these doors, I'm not sure if they should be red. If you don't like it, you can just cut out the landing gear door from here and glue it to this part. Good. Then you have here, those are the wing roots, and the wing roots, I find actually they fit well enough, but it's a little bit troublesome to get this part on the wing. So that's where you need to pay attention, because it needs to be slightly angled and it cannot put it flat on the wing, so that's a little bit challenging. Then the engine pylon, don't get confused. The engine pylon, this is the front where the engine goes. This is where it gets glued to the wing. Okay, then the vertical tail. The vertical tail. So the vertical again is a bit lassy. Yeah. So because you know this part here extends. So the question is, should it be glued on flat on each other, you know, which would be 2D, which would look not very good. As you can see here, actually, this is actually pretty much flat. But actually, this part is not flat at all. It should have an airfoil. It doesn't have an airfoil on the actual plane. So what I actually did is I made it an airfoil and I added something on top by myself, which I think I will show you on the model in a moment, but I think that works much better. And here we have another part of the belly tank, and we have the main engines, again no splitter cones. Also a little bit disappointing that these fins here are just painted. It would have been not so much effort to add these fins as parts, especially as this is a flat surface. It would have been really very easy. If you like, you can add them yourself. Again, for the engine, don't get confused. This part does not go here. Again, I suggest building these two parts first and then putting the whole exhaust section inside this. The instruction picture is a little bit confusing here. So now let's have a look at the model. This is the model. And we go from the front to the back. So the nose, as you can see, the nose already took a little bit of damage because this model is, it's been a while since I built it, and goes together well. Yeah, it's not built very well. Don't scold me. But what I really like about this model is how the cockpit goes together, because it's very easy to build, and it pretty much gets the shape of the DC-10 correct. Gets the shape of the DC-10 right. The text is aligning well enough, and then we have the front section, and actually I added in a former here. Yeah, I added in a former here by just cutting in, because there's no former included, but for this kind of size, you know, it's good to have something which will hold it together. So I actually just cut a round shape. I used the circle to cut a round shape and glued it inside. And then So next is the nose landing gear, and as you can see, this is already, you know, this is not strong. So that's why I highly suggest you to add something inside to make it more stiff, because it will not hold. Because another thing that is, you see the rattling here, right? So you need to actually add something into the nose so it will stand. So again, you have a lot of weight on this landing gear. And it just the simple paper roll just can't hold it. And another thing which you may notice is that, you know, there's no wheel well. It's not included, and it's also maybe a bit maybe a little difficult to build your own build your own wheel well, because then you will have to adjust the landing gear as well. Well, but you know, most of the time you don't see the wheel well at all. Right, and here the tank, it wasn't glued very well to the fuselage. Let me get it sharp. Okay, so but this is actually more realistic if you want, because those tanks, they can actually be removed on the original plane, and there is, if you look at the pictures of it, there's actually a small gap, because this tank is flat in the bottom, it's flat in the top, and it's actually connected to the fuselage by some small pylons, very tiny pylons, which are missing here. But you know, you don't get a lot of this detail on this model anyway. Then we have the engine, and as you can see, the missing splitter cone is really, it really looks like something is missing. And then you have the little fins here, which, well, they are not exactly, if people don't know they are there, then nobody was going to miss them. It would have been nicer to have them. The pylon itself is actually works really nice. It fits quite well. Yeah, it goes together very easily. Then here you have the back of the engine. You see, this is actually the part where I said, so this part actually goes all the way to here, inside. Okay, and then the back. Then again we have here the flap hinges, and as you can see, they are exactly the same, the three of them. Yeah, they can fit to the wing quite good enough. Then we have the main landing gear, and as you can see, I actually didn't use the red backside of the landing gear door, but rather I scored this and cut in here and folded it outward and then glued the gear door to this, so I can have the actual white surface here instead of the red. Then the landing gear itself is, it's rather, it's the most difficult part of the plane, and here's the hydraulic arm, yeah. Well, let me make a chart. And you have the different rolls glued together, and yeah, it breaks really easily. So, but it can hold it good enough. It can hold it good enough. But again, if it's a bit difficult to do that actually. But if you have some way to build in something to make it stronger, like toothpick or wire or more paper, then I highly suggest that. Then here's the wing root, and as I said, the wing root is like where the wing root is very thin, and to add it here on the edge is rather troublesome. So as you can see, I actually screwed up here. You see how this is not really straight. And then on the other side actually was a little bit better, yeah. But again, it depends on the wing shape, yeah. So it's here I totally screwed up. You can see that. So because the wing shape is not correct, yeah, and you need to. But the wing, doing the wing without former actually is okay. It works okay. And the rear section, I think again, the modeling, the 3D model is really well done here. Especially this back part, I think that it's a very good solution to make it easy to build and easy to design. And then we have you see this is already coming apart here. Then you can have a look inside. You can see inside. You can see inside is I actually added a spar. There's no spar here in the original model, but I added one in to make it stronger. You see now that this doesn't come up so easily. Whereas if you would just do it as the original model intends, then it would just like hit it a little bit, it will come off. It's okay to do it like this. I also do it on my models, but like in this kind of size, this is basically on other planes. A wing is this big, so it's better to have a spar here. Another thing is, of course, the wingtips bend a little bit. Is not new. This model has been around a bit. Then for the tail, so the tail here again, inside I added a spar. I actually added two spars to connect here between the to make this stronger. This is intended to be an airfoil, but I added in some spar to make it stronger. And then another thing here is actually what is actually not correct here as well is that this the turbine that you see, not only because the splitter cone is not there, but actually this should be much more in the back. It's pretty much here, but it should be much more in the back on the DC-10. Which again is not a big problem. It's a design decision to make it easier because, of course, well, I don't know why it's necessary because he doesn't have a spar here, so it will not get in conflict with the spar. And this is the final thing that I want to show you. So here is actually where I added something myself because this is not intended to have an airfoil. This is not intended, so if according to the model, it seems that this is supposed to be completely flat. So I actually added in
this is actually the red part is cut away from the landing gear door. Because the red landing gear, I didn't want to use it, so I just put the red landing door here to make this small edge here and make it more like the real DC-10. Yeah, and so this is the model. This again is not sharp. So this is the model, and it's a really nice model. It's easy. It's mostly easy to build, except the landing gear. Yeah, the artwork is. Yeah, I mean you have to like Murph's models artwork style. It's okay. It's minimalistic. The 3D model itself. The 3D model itself is quite well done. There are some things where they could be a little bit more detail. I mean, like more parts, like small parts, where it could have been less minimal. But it's a nice model. If you build it in this size, it's also perfect to scale down. If you want to scale it down, it will still be, except the landing gear, it will still be quite not too difficult to build. So this was my review of the Murph's models DC-10, and if you want to purchase this model, you can go to their website, which is murphs-models.com. Murph with PH, so MURPHS-models.com. And I don't get any money for doing this. Okay, so this is all for this video, and hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.